Thanks for staying with us. All right, so for the break, Mariam was going to jump in here.
Yes, you had mentioned if some of our terrorists get general pardon, why shouldn't an Evans get one? Really, I feel like that's another topic, a huge topic actually, but I don't compare them, because even with the rehabilitation of terrorists, it's not a blanket pardon for all of them. Their masterminds and their leaders are still being, pursued and bombed and killed wherever they get them. There are different circumstances or contexts that can be given to all the others that may be rehabilitated, but I feel like that's another topic that can be discussed separately. And so that's why I don't want us to make it a if then why not Evans, because Evans is a whole different person. For me, he stands not just a criminal, but as the face of that sort of criminality. The level in which he did it, how widespread his network is, or what may still be, may still be very much thriving till this day, because he's obviously earning money somehow to be able to pay lawyers. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't know, I've not heard of anything he's doing in the prison that is gaining him any sort of income. And I don't know, we have not heard anything of his family members, if they're doing something to provide or pay for his lawyers. I think that this is such a sensitive topic that when we're discussing it, it should be really about making sure that justice is done, because we need to send a clear message to all criminals. We need to send a clear message to kidnappers, especially today, that we're constantly besieged by one kidnapping story or the other. Young boys now are getting into it because they feel that it's a quick way to make money. He has, as I said earlier, commercialized this kidnapping thing. People are just doing it just for the quick buck. In fact, someone feels like they're a little broke. We've heard it. A student feels they're a little broke. You get someone and, that person is kidnapped and you get ransom. So for whatever reason that this was brought up, I hope it's only because we need to reiterate that people like this should not go scot-free. They should pay for their actions. People died in his custody. He kidnapped someone, I remember, who died in his custody even after ransom was paid. I don't understand where the conversation, is supposed
social media
to
coming
lead.
up, yeah. Let me take this caller. Good morning. Thanks for calling. Hello. I think I lost that call.
Okay, Ima. So let me even just add to Mariam. So people now kidnap themselves. It's not a thing. It's gotten that bad. If you don't kidnap your wife or your friends for money, you kidnap yourself and tell your family that you're missing so that you get money. But that's how far and how bad this has gotten. But in the reverse of things, just because you asked the question that if we are pardoning and forgiving and rehabilitating Boko Haram members, why not Evans? Because the Boko Haram members were rehabilitated were not being held in prison. They were returned to their places, and so the crimes would continue. Personally, I do not agree anybody should be involved in terrorism, involved in kidnapping that extended to murder. I remember that Evans used to carry out his kidnapping gangster style. They'll be shooting sporadically, and innocent people would drop, and those were not even accounted for, up all the way to the house of his victims. And so murder was involved, but he was also a drug dealer. And Abba Kyari, who led the team at the time that investigated him, has also been indicted in a drug settlement arrangement. That same Abba Kyari is being held by a federal high court and suspended from the police force. Recently, there was an application. I'm trying to find out for sure whether he was released. I think he was released. He was granted a period of time to go back to Borno for the burial of his mom. So we as a society have to be clear what we are talking about. As we have all three agreed here that, Evans should not in any way be given any clemency. Are we not also doing the same thing to other people that as a society we shouldn't? What do we think gave Evans the mind to come out and
even the lawyers advise him?
Yes, to advise him that you said you don't get 2 heads now. Those people don't have 2 heads. The Abba Kyari, who was allowed to go and bury his mom, he was being investigated for something as serious as compromising a trusted system. Yeah. You were the head of the IRT, of the IDP at the time. You were the one who arrested someone like Evans. You were found with video evidence. According to the court then, they said the NDLEA gave too much strong evidence for Abakari to play it down. The same Abakari was held, and there's an extradition appeal by Dubai after Hush Puppy was arrested for him to be extradited to Dubai to face charges of fraud and his connivance with Hush Puppy. But the same Abakari is giving some form of considerable treatment here to the extent he go bury him, Mama.
Okay.
He left our prison to go and bury, which means that we'll see escorting with police.
It goes back to who we are as a people.
Yes.
Our people sometimes, who we are as a people. We always admire these foreign systems, forgetting that it was a conscious effort sometimes to build the systems, and it's something that it's not going to happen overnight. At all. Because people just, when we have Nigerians grow abroad, they say, oh, only Nigeria can be like this. Like, they didn't get there overnight. It was a conscious effort. So if we don't put that consciousness to us, we're not going to get to that level. But let me take this caller, our final caller this morning. Good morning, Emmanuel from Aja.
Yeah.
You're live.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, morning. I just want to talk more about this Evan case. Thank you guys. You guys are doing a great job here.
I can't hear you, Emmanuel.
Guy, Evan of 18. I thought that guy, they have already killed him already. Why should Evan even be discussing Evan issue in public like this any longer? I thought that guy, they have killed him already. Why should he even plead for pardon?
Another person is
He's wrong.
Sorry, Emmanuel, we couldn't hear you.
I heard you.
What did he say?
I heard you. I cannot repeat it. He said, why are we even still discussing Evans today? He thought he would have been unalived in prison. Now, why would he be asking for?
He would have sorted himself in. That's if he's in the.
No, the case is still in court. I mean, he was already serving, remember? But there's a third case that was brought against him. We have to wrap up on this, but I think generally, we all agree that yes, based on what his lawyer was saying, asking that they were trying to appeal to the committee that was set up by the Lagos State government to see how he can be granted a bit of clemency. And based on what this conversation is, that we don't think is a good idea. But again, it's not our own place to say. We'll wait for the courts to determine that. I think that's all we can take. Any comments on this before we wrap up?
Mr. says such a high-profile convict should serve the sentence to a very reasonable extent before any form of clemency is considered. The trauma it caused victims cannot be overemphasized. Sir Cor Michael says, if Lagos State wants to pardon Evans, they should be prepared to pardon all the prisoners detained illegally for years without trial. Yes, legally. I think, and one Evans for those awaiting trial.
Muritala Akande says, hardened criminals complaining that he was grouped with common criminal while in prison. That guy is very funny, bold and full of himself.
He does look
Corey
good,
says, this is not a time to grant Evans clemency when kidnapping is at an all-time high.
Okay. Let me take some from our Twitter that we have not talked about. He says, investigation so that more are caught. That's what will reduce the crime. People should... Okay, go on. No, go on. Okay, we have to wrap up anyway. He responding to Morales, he says, unless you want to start slaughtering en masse like the Kamagog, execution can't result in significant prison population reduction since death row inmates are not that many. Give more prison is what you need to do.
Thinkami says, pardoned convicted former governors are vicariously liable for many more deaths by their corrupt running of state affairs that ruin lives. The only reason the kidnappers case stands out is because of the direct harm on the victims. Chigozia Magdam says, we should be careful with our judiciary system and things we condone. We pardon kidnappers, bandits, terrorists, but severely punish people over flimsy cases most times. Let's be careful what we propagate.
Okay, our final caller. Good morning. She lost our call. That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we move on to our next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.